Hey, welcome back, golf enthusiasts. Thanks for joining us again. Brought to you by Mahalo.com. My name is Tom Howell, 17-year teaching professional and senior instructor at Golf Tech in Santa Monica, California. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the basics of chipping, how to get the ball up and down a little bit more, talk a little bit about the fundamentals of the impact of chipping, how to hold the golf club, how to set up, what clubs to use. All right, so we'll start off with your basic concepts of chipping. As we get set up to a golf ball, you'll notice a few more views are going to pop up on your screen. What we're going to want to do here when you set up is, first of all, starting with the grip, you can take your normal swing grip. You can. You'll see some pros on tour, maybe some better players from time to time will take a little bit more of a putting grip. They'll actually change their hands. They'll get the index fingers kind of the left hand going outside. A lot of the reasons they'll do this, and I will do this from time to time, is to, from a feel perspective, it softens the hands up and helps take the wrists out of play a little bit. We're really just going to create more of a sweeping shoulder motion with chipping. But if you want to take your regular normal grip, that's fine as well. As we set up to a golf ball when we chip, I'm going to bring another club in here and just for ball position. When we set up to a chip shot, you want to make sure that the most important aspect when chipping or in pitching or even impact in general, which we're going to talk a little bit more about later, is that we're going to want to make sure that we always get the club head on the golf ball first. We want to hit the little ball before we hit the big ball being the globe, of course, right? So in order to ensure that we're going to hit the little ball first, we want to set up with the ball lined up really far back in our stance. We'll see on the bottom left-hand portion of your screen there where I've got a club on the ground lined up on the inside of my right foot, and I'm going to place the ball right out in front of that. Now notice the width of my stance is not nearly shoulder width, and I don't have my feet perfectly together, but relatively narrow. Another aspect is the alignment of the feet. A lot of the times you'll see people go, they want to open their stance. And I see a lot of people doing this and turning both their feet the wrong way. This is not a good thing. When you get both your feet kind of pointing in a real cockeyed angle like that, it's really, really difficult to even let your hips turn a little bit. And your hips need to turn a little bit in order to chip the ball well. If we get our feet aiming way out to the left like that, we're going to have a tendency to kind of pick the club up and chop, or even also have this tendency to do a little bit of a reverse pivot and try to lift the ball into the air. That's the worst thing I see golfers do, is trying to help the ball in the air. We'll talk a little bit more about why that's so bad in our impact session. But getting back to the setup with a chip shot, as I grip the club and step in with my club head behind the golf ball, ball lined up just on the inside of the back foot, I'm going to stand comfortably with my feet relatively close together, and I want to stand close enough to the ball so that my arms and hands are actually going to hang almost directly underneath my shoulders. It really takes the tension out of the upper arms, out of the forearms, and out of the wrist to let my arms swing freely back and through the stroke. So again, setting up, ball back in the stance, we're going to go ahead and get that hands on there, and the stroke itself really is a simple motion. It's not a lot. We want to keep really, really relaxed grip pressure. On a scale of 1 to 10, keep your grip pressure about a 3 to 5. Let there get a little bit of play in the wrist right there. We don't want to hinge and unhinge the wrist intentionally. We want to have a nice relaxed grip pressure on there so we can get good touch and feel. And when you actually go to make the stroke, it really is just a shoulder-driven stroke where you're really just rocking the shoulders back and rocking the shoulders through. Now the other major aspect of chipping is weight distribution. When you're chipping and pitching, we'll get into that again next segment, is you want to make sure that you keep your lower body weight on your left side. Now a lot of the times I'll see golfers do something like this. They'll set up and they'll go, and they'll lean their upper body forward to get their weight on the left side. That's not what it's all about. Really, you just want to kind of set up and just take your hips and just press your hips a little bit towards your target. Keep your head kind of in the same spot, just a little, boom. So you can see on the lower left portion of your screen my legs are slightly slanted towards my target. My knees are flexed. And as I make the stroke, I'm actually going to keep my weight on my left foot. I'm going to have probably about 70% of my weight on the inside of my left foot, really putting a good amount of pressure into the ground underneath that left foot. And I'm going to keep that weight there all the way through impact, let my arms swing through naturally. We're going to head on over into one of our bays now and show you a little bit of action shot. Okay, welcome back over here. Now we're in our Golf Tech Improvement Center. Is going to go over the actual action shots here for chipping and pitching. Club selection for chipping, it's really relative to the shot that you want to hit. I suggest getting used to a couple of different golf clubs, but the technique is really more important than anything. You have a longer chip shot, maybe use a club with a little bit less loft, 7-iron or an 8-iron. A lot of players I see all the time really restrict themselves to a wedge quite a bit, but either way, the technique is really going to be the same. I'm going to use my 55-degree wedge as a demonstrative club here today. And just getting back to some review here, the difference again between chipping and pitching isn't so much about distance, it's more about the setup and about the trajectory of the shot itself. Chip shots are going to tend to be much lower shots, going to stay much lower to the ground and run the majority of the distance from where your ball rests to the hole. It's really going to stay real low to the ground and bump and run. That's often a common term, is a bump and run shot. To where pitch shots are going to be much more lofted up into the air. So chipping, stance is going to be relatively narrow, less than shoulder width apart. Our grip is going to be our normal full swing grip. I have seen, and from time to time will use myself more of a putting grip when chipping, but that's just really a preference type of a thing. Ball position is going to be just inside the back foot. You'll notice I get the sticks down, one for alignment and the other one for a ball position. So as the ball is just inside the back foot, feet are relatively close together, and a slightly open stance, meaning that my toe line is aiming a little left of my target, and my left foot's going to be flared slightly open. This is going to help my hips rotate properly through impact. Even though this is primarily a shoulder movement, shoulder and arm movement, the hips still need to move with the arms and hands and club to prevent the flipping motion that I often see from a lot of amateur golfers, flipping and scoopy. So choking down on the club, ball's back in the stance. My weight, I'm going to press my hips towards my left side and set on my left side, keeping my head over the ball to avoid the big leaning motion. Keep the hips forward, keep the hands forward, and really with a relatively light grip pressure, just use more of a shoulder motion back and through. All right, so we just came back from the cage there. We talked a little bit about the importance of weight distribution, ball position, and a little bit about club selection around the greens right there, how to hit some lower, more running shots and which clubs to use, and how to hit the higher, softer chip shots. If you want to get a little bit more in depth, you want us to help you out with your golf game, get a customized approach to fit your needs, visit us at golftech.com. We've got 146 training centers or improvement centers around the country. It's golftec.com. And if you want to check out a little bit more what we're doing here with Mahalo, send a request at mahalo.com or just log on to the website. I'm sure they'd love that. Thanks a lot. My name is Tom Howell. We'll see you soon.